everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance, because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. Today, as you can see, I just have my regular co-host, Darryl Pilate. Hey, boo.
Hey.
All right, so today we are going to be flipping the script, and Darryl's going to be posing questions to me. So now I'm getting a taste of my own medicine, so this should be fun. But before we jump into it, the quote of the day is from Kevin Fredericks. For those who follow Kev on stage, that's who I'm talking about. I be failing. I'm not a failure. And that is hitting home right now because, child, the way these studies are going, I be failing.
Right.
But I am not a failure.
Yes.
All right, love.
All right. Yeah.
Don't treat me too bad. I be trying not to do y'all wrong, so don't do me crazy.
No. I think this will be pretty. It's fun. It'll be easy. All right. So today's topic kind of comes from a little bit of some of the work that I've done with a good friend of mine who has been working, was working with Dance Exchange and working with Liz Lerman, and a lot of her studies go back to or surrounds working with intergenerational dancers. So dancers from, as small as, I don't even know how small, infant to working with dancers that are in their, as she calls, the third age. So I guess we're talking about just dancers, performers, choreographers who are like us, that are in the mature age of being performers and dancers.
Yes, maturity.
And yes. And what that's like, and how what we used to do affect what we do now, and what we do now, what we have to look forward to potentially in our third, maybe fourth age. So I guess my first question is, what are some noticings that you have from being a choreographer and performer today that might be some things that you did not realize 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
I know one of the biggest differences is that I allow more space for my dancers to, if not collaborate, then to at least have some input. I'm also way more open to improvisation, which is stressful to people. That's what I've learned. But I love improv. So I'm like, well, we're throwing that joker right on in there. What I have found is that while, there are times that I do want the movement to be something very specific. And I'm like, no, I want you to do exactly what I'm telling you to do on exactly the count I'm telling you to do it. Like, no deviation. But there are times within improv that they'll just happen upon something, or we're just playing around and something comes up that I'm like, oh my God, that's what I've been looking for this entire time. And I think that has led to a greater satisfaction with how the more recent pieces have come out in comparison to some of my earlier work. I will go on record as saying it's never good enough. But that being said, I think by giving them space to kind of add their own voices to it, kind of helps develop the dialogue that I'm trying to have through the movement. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that, because I just probably both of our experiences, like we do, well, you and I both took an improv class several years ago. Well, not several, a couple years ago, wasn't several. It was just 2017.
Yeah, a couple.
I was like several years ago. Like, wait, I haven't been that long.
Incorrect math.
Yeah, I know, right? But like, you know, we have these tools that we've learned and that we've used as far as around composition and improv. And I think it's funny that, like, for me, I feel like too that it took being older and maybe letting go of that, like maybe a little bit of that ego of like being the dance teacher that like I'm supposed to come in with all of the answers, that like, oh, I love for my dancers to be like, let's just kind of play around with this, and I'm gonna take what you
Yeah.
I'm gonna take what you come up with and kind of use that a little bit for this piece or for whatever it is that we're doing. Like I always love those moments when, you know, I'm like thinking and doing something, and then like I'll look out the corner of my eye and someone's done something. I'm just like, what did you do that? Teach that to everybody.
Yes. I was like, hey, do that again. Do it again.
Do it again.
We're doing that.
That's what we're doing.
I was like, can you do that? Learn how to show them how to do that. Thank you. It's going
right.
in.
Right. Whereas when I was younger, like a student would ask me, or somebody would ask me for like, could we do this? I'm just like, no.
No. What I said was, we are doing this.
Right. Right. And now I'm a little bit more like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, let's do that. I'm okay.
Yeah. But it's like you said, like letting go of the ego that's involved, that it has to be my way. My way is the only way to get this done. I'm like, no, you know what? No, there's actually a lot of different ways to get this done. And someone else's way may actually be more suited to what I want than what I was going to do.
Right.
Like, which I agree. I always love, like, my students would hate when I'm like, improv, because we're going to figure this out. And they're like, oh my God, because it was always like the craziest, most adventurous person that I'd be like, yes, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
Like that is exactly what I needed. I think also in that, and I don't think that this is necessarily a new thing that I do, but I am more comfortable with it, of really pushing. Mm-hmm. And when something looks kind of crazy, then I'm like, okay, do it again though. Mm-hmm. No, just keep doing it. I was like, no, we're not taking that out. But I want you to do it the way you would do it. Like, not necessarily how you think I want it done.
Right.
Like, so I don't know how to explain that. It's like, yes, I still want this exact idea of a movement.
Right.
But I want your version of the movement.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's go with that.
Yeah. No. I definitely get that for sure. Because I think, you know, coming from Texas, like precision dance in Texas is like what it is all about, right? Like, you know, everybody head needs to hit on two. If you're hitting it on and one, we have a problem.
We have a whole problem.
We have a whole problem. Like, that's not what it is. The count was two, and I need that to be on two. You know, and like I think that I totally get that sometimes that count, that two was not that important. You know, so it's, I think it takes some kind of stepping back. And I guess it just depends on the style of dance, right? Like, I think there is, I mean, maybe in certain forms, yes, that and too. Like if you're dancing on, you know, New York City Rockettes, yes, that too is very important, and it's going to show that you're not on it. But I think in certain forms, like the two is not, it's not the end of the world.
I think being able to see that and step away from it that has definitely gotten better as I've gotten older. The musician in me hates for people to not be on the right count. It burns my actual soul. like I am not here for not being on beat. I can't. But I am better able to have a conversation with the dancers and be like, okay, I really wanted that on 3. Is that actually not possible? Like, Because if you getting that on 3 means that 4 through 8 is now messed up,
right.
I am willing to adjust this 3 now.
Right.
Like, fine. Because what we're not going to do is have all of this messed up because I was just so determined to get this one thing when we could have explored that a little bit more and given some more space to the rest of it.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. Do you think that, like, as a dancer, performer, are there things that you, in preparation for performance, that you do differently now than what you did then?
Actually warm up. The way these knees are set up, it's like, sis, first of all, should have been about that life. Yeah. But you know, I was like that as a musician too, that I'm like, man, who needs to warm up? We can just do this. And I'm like, that is by far the worst approach ever. And so that's why my knees are the way that they are. And so, yeah, now it's like, okay, let's actual warm up. Right. And then for me, I also like to, like, I don't mind doing like a group warm up if that's a thing that people are trying to do in the moment. But I also need to take time away from everyone. In the 20s, I would be okay with still like chit-chatting and all that leading up to, like, we're getting dressed in costume, still chit-chatting. And I cannot do that now. I'm like, no, I need to get my mind together.
Centered and focused. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because otherwise I will have a terrible show.
Yeah. No, I used to be so, oh my God. I think it was the performance I did with you last year in January was like the first time I realized I must be like, that's like the first performance like in my 30s where I felt like, damn, like I really need to prepare for this in a way that's very different from like anything that I'd ever done before. And that in a good way, you know what I mean? Like it really was something that like, because I mean, I guess like before, like the choreography or like the performances I did, although they were very intense and very active, like I don't know, there was some level of confidence or cockiness that I felt like I had, like, oh, I got that, and and this is fine. That I feel like maybe I don't have that anymore. Like, almost like, I guess maybe not being in competition with other people, but like knowing that I feel like the reason why I'm performing and dancing is more inwardly enjoyable than outwardly enjoyable. I know I'm going all over the place here with this. I'm sorry. So it's like I feel like, yeah, like that preparation, that mental, like I need to center and focus for that is like, I want to get so much more out of this performance now than when I was in my 20s and being like only thinking about like the outward, the things that were coming. It was more so about what would be coming in after the performance. Oh, you were so great. Oh, that was so good. Oh, that was more so now I feel like, and maybe it's the type of work that I'm doing now, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that talk about too, is like, I feel like the work that I think we do now and, you know, our 30s, 40s, 50s, I think is more for what's within and wanting to exude something out than it being like, oh, I'm just doing this because I need the accolades from the audience for what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was actually thinking the exact thing while you were talking, that I think the focus has shifted And like, you know, this is of course not a slight to anyone younger than us who feels that they are doing work from that place. We're speaking for us.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There's that.
But it's like, I would say like earlier work of mine, let me see if I can explain this. It was kind of like something's happening. How does that impact me? Mm-hmm. Versus now it's more of how I'm dealing and how I can help impact what's happening out. Right. So I, you know what, oddly, I have never been comfortable with accolades. I would try to hide after shows. Because I'm like, I really don't want to talk to any of you. Yeah. But okay.
Yeah.
But I always wanted it to be clear what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in more of a place where I'm like, well, I don't really give a shit if you get it. Like, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But am I making a difference for someone? Because how you view my piece can be completely different from how the person sitting next to you views it. But if both of you are impacted in such a way that you want to go out and do something about either the issue that's being discussed, or find out if there are more ways to support the arts to make sure that works like this can continue to be seen, then I've done my job, to me. Right. I've always actually enjoyed giving my dancers a place to kind of get the stuff out. But I still, in a way, feel that has shifted even, that it's less of let's showcase, you know, yes, leg all the way to my head. Yes, quadruple pirouettes and clean and and layout. And now it's like, okay, this is what we're talking about. What do you have to say about it?
Right.
Okay, so how do you say that, and how does that relate to this overall thing that we're saying? And like giving them a voice also, which ties into the improv, that as much as people don't like it, which blows me, because I'm like, how can you not? Yeah. But okay. I think giving them that opportunity, that even if it's not something that they wanted, like, you know, some people are okay not sharing their thoughts and their opinions. Some people are okay, like, nah, just give me the movement. I will do your 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm gonna go. Let me collect my check and let me leave.
Yeah.
But I have found to even just give them the opportunity to decline, really putting themselves into it, has created a more welcoming and collaborative environment, and has still served my purpose. That if you tell me, okay, you know what, I actually would prefer if you just give me my 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, I don't want this effort.
Right.
Then at least you knew you had a voice in it.
Yeah. And
that, to me, is helping to encourage dancers to speak up.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Which I wonder, you know, maybe that's a shift that'll happen with like this next generation of dancers. Because I feel like the opportunity to improv, like I remember even at my university, we had an amazing comp and contact improv and improv teacher that just, for whatever reason, like got little respect, I felt like, from I felt like she was respected amongst her peers, amongst the other professors, but I definitely think the students just didn't really value what she was really offering. You know, these are people who are like, oh, I don't want to touch other people. Like, I don't want to dance on top of other people. I'm just like, no, like, this is amazing.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. It's like, it's great. And and they just really struggle with that. And, but now I feel like, at least, I know you and I both are allowing our students to have those opportunities to use improvisation. And basically going back and saying that, I just don't feel like in my dance, education prior to college, I don't feel like I had a lot of opportunities to do that. Mm-hmm. So, I wonder if like maybe there'll be a shift in, like, instead of it being, count versus choreography, now it's choreography versus count, where it's like people are like, oh, what do you mean you want to give me choreography? Like, I thought I could come in and just like do my own thing, and then that'll be fine. So I don't know, I'm just curious if
I feel like that shift has happened for some people.
Yeah.
So some people be out in these streets talking about some, well, I thought I could, like, well, honey, I ain't say that. That's not what I said. Give me a chance to offer that space for you.
Right.
Because I might legit just want these counts, though.
Right.
I might want them. I'll let you know, though, when we're going to improv.
Right.
But I think there's a balance to be struck there. But I don't... generalization just is what it is. It has not been my experience with the younger dancers that are like, teens and 20s, that balance is easily struck. I have seen it more easily approached by those who are 30s, 40s, 50s. And I don't know if that's just the ones that I've seen, or if it really does have something to do with like lived experience, and we've just had more time to find like that perfect balance for us. But I have either seen the younger, well, I keep saying the younger ones like we are ancient or something, right. But I have seen the young ones, the younglings.
Yeah.
Are either like really strong technically and struggly bus for improv, or they're like a noodle and just here with it, and like to any type of
5, 6, 7,
technique. 8. Yeah, like
or technique, right? Exactly.
Like setting some solid counts on them is like they just can't.
Right.
And finding young ones that can do both of the things well, in my experience, they have been far and few between. But the older the dancer that I've worked with, the easier for some, because there are, be clear, there are some who like you get so stuck in your ways that it's just like now you can't change.
Right.
But the ones who I've worked with who have actively sought to have that balance, the older they are, the more easily I've seen them be able to switch it on and off. And so I don't know if that's maybe that came with age, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. What about your aesthetic? Like, do you feel like that, I mean, kind of shifting, between that improv versus choreography, and then like your aesthetic, not only how you choreograph, but also, because we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but like how you view dance. Like I can remember in college, we were at a ACDFA for our region, and we were at the gala. Well, I had seen this piece in like on the one of the weeknights or whatever, and it made the gala, and I just remember it was 2 people sitting in a chair, reading a newspaper, shaking their knees, closing and opening, crossing the leg, uncrossing the leg, looking at the newspaper, and I was like, made it into the gala? Or I just felt like we were doing all this awesome movement and like filling the space in this. But it's like, looking back at it, I was like, yeah, of course that made the that was pretty awesome. You know what I mean? But like in my 20s, I was like, no, like that's. That's modern dance. Like, what is this?
I mean, in all fairness, I 100% watched a piece. I will never, ever forget this, where I definitely watched somebody get a blowjob and somebody get ate out. So, in full disclosure, it'd be like, oh,
Okay.
well, so this is art.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here now.
That's what we're
This
doing.
is where we are. And I will say, your example has become more common.
Mm-hmm.
I am really hoping mine does not, because
Right.
I'm like,
I know that's a lot.
yeah, oh my God, can I just tell you, like, not to be sidetracked, but what made it significantly worse is that there were speaking parts, and so everybody was mic'd.
Oh.
And so, so legit, it was the sound that I was just like, I don't want this for my life. This is not my testimony.
Right.
This is not what I signed up for. And I just remember sitting there, and I'm like looking at the people around me, and I'm just like, am I tripping right now?
Right. This is.
I didn't, because even if I close my eyes or even if I avert my gaze, I'm still hearing it. And I'm just like, I didn't want that.
Mm-mm.
So that was wild. But that aside, I think, so excluding that, I think with pieces where there's less movement, I'm going to start there and then I'm going to go further.
Yeah.
With pieces that have less movement, as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate them in the sense that some of the ones with less movement, the movement that they do have has a richer quality. Mm-hmm. And I can recognize that and appreciate that. Mm-hmm. For the ones that, to me, I think kind of cross more over into the realm of performance art, mm-hmm. or I don't know, whatever the hell to call it. Mm-hmm. It's less difficult mm-hmm. for me to see how they fit in to this realm of dance and the arts. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that I always get it, mm-hmm. but maybe judgmental is the word. I am less judgmental right. of those pieces than what I was in my 20s. Because 20s, you're talking about, child, I would have been cutting up. But like, what you got me in here looking at, I paid good money for what? Right. Why would you waste my money? I want to see these counts. I want to see these turns. I want to see these leaps. Right. And it's like, now I'm like, okay, I can watch an entire piece that has no leaps, no turns really to speak of. Mm-hmm. Man, you can give me a good duet like that and I will be enthralled. Like, right. If the richness and the quality of the movement is there, mm-hmm. I'm all in. Yeah. And that's not a shot at those who have all those components. And because I'm like, I can still appreciate that. But I think I now place more value on emoting mm-hmm. than I did 10 years ago. Mm. I've always enjoyed emoting and I've always preferred to see it. I've never really liked, is that a lie? That might be partially a lie. I've always preferred, yeah, I know, right? I've always preferred pieces that have some type of emotional pull. Right. But I've seen a couple where like it was in their character to be like, to play it straight. Mm-hmm. And like, when I tell you everything was crisp, clean, right. I was here for it because I respect the work that goes into that. I like right. that takes a lot. Mm-hmm. But my preference has always been to have some type of an emotional pull. Mm-hmm. And I think I value it even more now, mm-hmm. which does impact my choreography, specifically because I'll be like, let me tell you what I'm not going to do, demonstrate. So since since I'm not about to show y'all, here, do this, let's focus on emoting because now we're here. Because again, the way these knees are set up, is what we're not about to do. I can't. And then like, usually I've started leaning more towards trying to have dancers who are older, just to give not only more opportunity for them, but also more opportunity for me to work with people who I'm like, you've lived. Not to say people younger than us haven't, but yeah.
I think those that have lived is really the embodiment of that emoting, I think, is clearer than, you know, what what you would do in your 20s. Like, there's just something I remember about being in college and like having, you know, so my program that I went through in my undergrad was very Hawkins based, and that's a very, you know, a small group of people that are still studying that. But what's really cool is that since it's so small, they all like know each other, especially the ones that are still practicing. And so, you know, here we are, these young dancers, and you know, these people would come back, and you know, we would do things across the floor, and there was just something about watching them move, doing the exact same thing we were doing, but it just looked different. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, and you feel like, well, we're younger. Like we should be, I mean, we're Sprite. We could do that and do it like 5 times in a row. And they may be like, well, I can only do it once. But it's like just the fact that they're doing it that one time, and really, I think it's just about knowing your body more. Like, I think that's something that I feel like in this age, like I know my body a lot more than I knew it at 20, even though, which is kind of unfortunate, right? Like, God, I wish I knew my body when I was 20, 21, 22, and was like twirling and like jumping around and doing all these things. But yeah, no, I feel like I know it more in a way to understand a lot of those things that, you know, teachers and professors were saying.
Yeah.
Back then.
I think if I could go back, that would be something I would do differently. Like if I could just like put a sticky note somewhere for like 20-year-old me to be like, hey sis, but read that though. Like warm up before these performances. Take time to really connect and look at like who you are in this role. Because I did, but not the way I do now. Right. And like to one of your points, I think, you know, back then I was like, yeah, I can run this again and again and again and again. Yeah, I'm tired, but I can also do it again. And now it's like, all right, y'all gonna get this one good time. But that one good time is going to be all the way from the depths of my being. Right. Whereas when I'm running it 11 times, it's like surface. So I think that was always something. And you know what? That reminds me of something some of my former students said, which it was funny to me when they said it because I got it, but now I'm like, oh, I get it now that you put it in that context. Is that we were doing oh my God, what was that song? It's a Bruno Mars song. She left him. Oh. Is it When I Was Your Man? Is that the name of that song? Yeah. Okay, we were doing that. And first of all, I have high schoolers doing that. So first of all, let's just look at the life I was living because I was like, well, y'all gonna feel these emotions. Right. Figure it out. And so 2 boys and a girl. And so the boy who was, you know, Bruno in this situation, I was trying to get him to connect with it more, which, you know, clearly lived experience. Right. it was a difficult connection. And I'm like, okay, I want you to imagine that this has happened.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, hold on. Let me just show you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so we played the part of the song, and I was like, y'all, I'm only gonna do this one good time. Cause I ain't gotta perform this. And so I did it. And like these kids are up in here, like tears brimming. And they're like, oh my God. Like, yo. And I'm like, and I finished. And I'm like, okay, so I need you to do that. And they're just like, how you just cut it off like that? Like, child, I don't know. That's just what I do.
Right.
Y'all was only gonna get that one though. And
right.
that one's from the depths of my being. I needed you to see exactly where I'm trying to get you to. And, you know, like, again, high schoolers, it was a reach. Right. I mean, they did well, though. I was proud of them at the end of it.
Yeah.
But there was that difference that had I been around their age, I'm sure I would have had the same approach to it that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember being like that early on. And it took just lived experience to be to the point where I'm like, yeah, no, this is a type of hurt. This is what that hurt looks like.
Yeah.
This is one way it can manifest itself. This is what I want from you. And so I think even just how we would approach teaching movement,
mm-hmm.
it's the same thing that, yeah, I could still just do it surface level, mm-hmm. but at least for me, I think with age, the appreciation I've gained for the movement is not only about the movement, but it's about my body's ability to continue doing it. Mm-hmm. Because I know that there may come a day when I can't.
Right.
And so in my 20s, I wasn't worried about that.
Yeah.
Most 20-somethings, I know that's not the concern. I've only known a couple, and that was a legit concern for them. Mm-hmm. But they were, again, far few between. And so with age, as I'm like, okay, well, things are changing. Like, I done had these kids. Like, things have shifted. Mm-hmm. I've had to adapt and adjust. And, like, I have a lot of injuries, first of all, because didn't warm up properly. So that's my fault. I take ownership.
Yeah.
But like I have plantar fasciitis, and when we found out that that's what was happening, like I kept putting it off, ended up in a boot. And they were like, yeah, no, you can't be on it. And I was like, but I teach dance. Like, what you mean I can't be on it?
Right.
It's what I do. And they're like, nah, 2 weeks. And I'm like, nah.
I'll give you a couple of days. I'll give you the
look.
I'll give you
when
the
I
weekend.
tell
you,
you,
to be better by the weekend.
Look, when I tell you, and I would have to call these kids and see if they remember this happening. But we were in a rehearsal, same group of kids. Those are my babies. Mm-hmm. Before all the tomfoolery. There's always some tomfoolery with me. But we had a rehearsal. And I was trying to explain the movement because I couldn't do anything with this stupid boot on. Mm-hmm. And I was so frustrated and overwhelmed. I started to cry. And so they're just like, what do we do? What do we do? We're sorry. Like, we're trying. And I'm like, it's really not your fault, but it kind of is because you don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it as clearly as I can possibly say it to you. And so I told these poor kids, I was like, what y'all really fail to understand is that I would trade knowing you for just one day of being able to dance again. I was like, I think you don't understand how much it hurts me to not be able to do this. Mm-hmm. First of all, they were real offended that I said that. And I was like, yo, I don't take it back. I was like, I would give up knowing you as a person. I'm like, and I care for you. Yeah. I hope you have a long, successful life. Check in, let me know things are good. I would give it all up for one day to dance.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I cannot. And so I think that was like, there were times before, but that was the point where I was like, oh, we got to do better though.
Yeah.
Because I can't live like this. And that might have been early 30s.
Yeah.
That hit.
Yeah.
Because it was within the past 8 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And child, just thinking about that was horrible. I sure did tell them kids, I was like, I would give up knowing you. That was not nice. That was mean as hell. Like, dang.
Like, go home and tell your mama that I said it.
Yes, I said what I said.
Yeah.
Because if it means I don't have to sit here with this boot on, bye.
Yeah.
I ain't got to know you. I'll start over with somebody new. It's fine. It was so bad. But man, yeah, I feel like that was a catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a moment that I'm like, nah, I remember this one. Like that thing was rough. And that was early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my body was like, oh, all right, so you're really not gonna slow down though? We got you.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. It was like, So I still suck at warming up. Let me be very transparent. Mm-hmm. But I am better than what I used to be at it. And I think that just came with age and gaining more appreciation overall. Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing. What are you, let's see how to word this. Okay, let's go this way. What's one thing you're looking forward to having a dance career over the next 15 years? And what's something that you are a little apprehensive or worried about in the next 15 years?
Let's see. I'm going to start with apprehensive.
Okay.
We'll be negative Nancy out the gate here. I think the thing that gives me the most pause is that I won't be able to get the work out. Mm-hmm. As you know how our world is, the more people you know and the bigger name you have, the better chance you've got. Mm-hmm. That just is what it is. And I'm pretty sure it's like that in most arenas. It's just a thing. Mm-hmm. And then there are smaller companies and stuff that I've seen do amazing work. Mm-hmm. And I think my apprehension that I have now, and I feel like that I'm just going to continue to feel worse and worse about this, is that since I don't have those connections, mm-hmm. I don't know how to make those connections. I don't people well at all. I struggle to people. Mm-hmm. I worry that I will just kind of fade into the distance, mm-hmm. fall between the cracks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think what's most concerning about that, because I definitely have not gone into this thinking, oh, well, I'm going to make X amount of money. We're going to be set. No, mm-hmm. It's that I'm about 99% sure that ain't my testimony. If that 1% comes through though, I accept. But mm-hmm. the goal to me isn't to become rich and famous. It's to be able to make an impact. Mm-hmm. And I worry that I missed that window because I didn't people when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Something I look forward to though, I don't know if it's going to be 10 to 15 years. It might have to happen within the next 5 is for my current plan for my dissertation. Mm-hmm. I want a movement component to it. Now, I don't know that I'm going to tell my instructors that. I don't know that they listen. I don't think they do. If they do, y'all just ignore this part. Fast forward. It's fine. Obviously the writing has to happen. Right. But what I'm writing about, there is a part of me that I'm like, I need to move through it. Mm-hmm. In order for me to write it. And I have some preliminary ideas that I don't know how to finagle them and make them work. But if I can figure out how to make them work, I think it would help with the writing piece. And I think that it would also be a decent contribution to the field. And so I look forward to that. Oh, I look forward to doing conferences.
Yeah.
Because I kind of have no choice but to apply to these things while I'm in this program. And so since we're here, that's what I'm doing. I have my first ever that I got into, and I am a nervous wreck. But it's also in line with kind of what I'm leaning towards for the dissertation. So I think that that would be an opportunity to kind of establish my place in the dance world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if all of that goes swimmingly, then that will help offset some of my apprehension.
Yeah. I was just thinking that too, like the connections that you will make through those conferences, even just through this program. Yeah, I could definitely see that being a way to totally offset that for sure.
Yeah, it's like it's so much.
I know.
It's so much. But I tell you, crazy enough, all the struggles that have been going on lately, and I deal heavily now with discussing Blackness in my research. First of all, can we just talk about how stressful that is? Because I don't know how many times to say to people that Blackness is not monolithic. Like, we are not all the same. Please stop trying to act like we are. And it's just very draining. But then there's part of me that's like, yeah, but this is still a conversation that needs to be had.
Right.
And so it's kind of like finding that balance. I'm apprehensive about it. That's how we tie that back in. Because it's been talked about so much, but then there's still some talking to do. And I don't want to just be rehashing things that have been said. Like I want to be sure that I'm actually contributing in such a way that I'm helping to push dialogue further.
Right.
But that being said, I'm also just so tired.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, can we just live? And I read this comment. First of all, I need to stop reading comments. I don't know why I be reading comments under anything, because people are trash.
Yeah.
And it is the absolute worst. And it just makes everything just hit even harder. But it was a white person talking about, they were on a Black person saying like they are friends. I'm friends with the Black person. So them two are friends. And basically the comment was along the lines of, well, I don't think that white people should have to do anything dealing with all this, because, like if I'm not the one being racist and, I'm not the one who participated in like all the things in the past, so why should I be responsible for other white people's actions? I'm like, motherfucker, because y'all smooth be always talking about, well, Black people need to get, no, okay, either we're all going to just be worried about ourselves, right, or we're all going to take responsibility where we should take responsibility. Right. Now, my issue came in that I was like, first of all, shut up. Right. Second of all, go suck a dick. Right. Third of all, I'm going to try to have a more reasonable response, because it was like immediate anger. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't understand how it is so easy for others, and not just white people, pretty much anyone who's not Black. It's so easy for everyone else to be like, yeah, nah, you can't judge all of us based off of this one case. You can't do that. Yeah. That ain't all of us. But we don't get that. We don't get that same privilege. And I'm like, how, Sway? Like, how is this how we're living life? Right. And so like when I'm trying to do research and like when I'm presenting these papers to rooms full of white people who don't get it, that they are on but it's not me, it's not all of us. And I'm like, Well, if it don't apply to you, I ain't talking to you.
Right.
And if it bothers you that much, then go check somebody that you know, because I know you know somebody who's like this.
Right.
I know you
Exactly.
do. You're probably related to them.
Right.
Go
That's
handle that.
Right. Exactly. That's where it's like, yes, you may not say it and you may think, oh, I have this cousin who is like that. Well, don't sit there and not say anything to that cousin. Speak up to them. You know, like sometimes that's my biggest frustration is that sometimes I see these people who are like, what is that, the white sympathy, but have like zero, like if I look at your Instagram, your Facebook, and all I see are like white faces, white faces, white faces, white faces, but then when something like this happens, or when things like this happen, like you have this post that is supposed to be so profound, I'm just like,
where's that been?
you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, are you really having the conversation? And if you don't know any people of color, like how do you know that you're sharing the right information, the appropriate information, the appropriate context? You know what I mean? Like if you're just looking at what the media is saying, then you are making it very monolithic. You are making it that like it's one experience, and you know, and that is it. And I just find that so frustrating. Yeah.
Like it is extremely frustrating. I will say I have one friend who one of the more recent incidents, because there's always another one.
Yeah.
One of the more recent, he posted and then he took it down, and then he posted explaining why he did so. And I appreciated his rationale. Because the original post was, I believe, the video of the murder. And it was just like, I can't see this again. Like, I can't sit through this again. Like, I'm really, like, y'all don't play these videos with nobody else. Like, can you stop? Like, I never want to get to the point where I'm just completely desensitized to another Black person being murdered. And so he explained that he was like, I can't fathom how like all my Black brothers and sisters really feel seeing it over and over again. He's like, so that's why I took it down. He's like, he still wants to have conversation and dialogue.
Right.
But without continuing to just push the images out. And like, you know, so I was going to say I'm torn. That's a lie. No, I'm not. I really hate seeing the images. Now, that being said, am I saying that no one should ever record things, that they should never post them? I don't think that's what I'm saying. First of all, because I'm like, if it doesn't get recorded, no one's going to believe us.
Right.
And so I'm
and
like,
that history will clean be rewritten in 30 years. It's probably soon in 10 years. That's not how that happened.
And it's because I'm like, they already try to like glance past it when it is recorded. It's like, oh, well, did he do this? We don't know what happened before. You just watch somebody get murdered. And you're making every excuse in the book as to why that's okay. But then y'all can turn right back around, and whatever that crazy white dude was that just got caught, that was considered armed and dangerous, 100% he murdered people. I think he murdered 2 folks. Taken in alive. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is you have the capability to do so. And you make an active choice every time to not. That is exhausting. And I'm like, folks really do not understand how exhausting that can be. On top of, there's a whole pandemic happening. On top of, folks don't have income coming in right now. On top of, folks got whole ass children out here. got a whole family. There's so much going on, and then it just keeps getting stacked on top. And then for people to act like it shouldn't have an impact on you, I'm like, it's more concerning that it doesn't impact y'all.
Right.
That says a lot about you. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep that same energy, because one of these days it's going to come back on you. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you who will have none of the fucks to give. Mm-hmm. This one. Right. Because no, all of mine are being given right now. I'm not going to have none left. Right. Like, I'm going to be done. But I can guarantee it could be tomorrow. And I'm like, nope, done. Yeah. I don't care about y'all. I'm like, sorry, not sorry. I don't care. Like, I am, like I told you earlier, if every day I have to be worried about my family members, worried about my friends, worried about my sons, I don't have the capacity to worry about anybody else right now. Right. I just can't. I cannot walk and chew bubble gum then, I guess. Right. I will be that. I will stand still and chew this gum. It will be what it is. Right. But yeah, to tie that back, I think it does tie into some of my apprehension that even if I am able to, produce these works, let's say I produce this one piece that's based from the dissertation, like on a grand scale. Mm-hmm. I am concerned that it'll just get lost because everything else does. Mm-hmm. Like, you have your couple minutes, everyone's up in arms, and then nothing happens, and then we repeat. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I feel like it's important for us to still say something, but it's just so draining to always have to say something. Right. And I'm just like, dang, like, y'all really y'all just not gonna ever let up, are y'all? Like, this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, this is what I get for wanting to discuss Blackness in my dissertation. Because I'm like, it's so much. And I'm like, I got like one person who gets it right now. And I'm just like, I need more of you to get it. Yeah. And actually, I think I'm reaching the point where I'm like, I don't even care if y'all get it. You know what? Forget it. You don't even have to get it at this point. Yeah. Just fix your life and fix the people around you. Right. Like, because you will never understand what it's like. Just like I will never understand what it is like to be a white woman who can weaponize her tears. I'll never know what that's like. That will never be a testimony I have. Right. So it's like, okay, cool. You'll never get it. Fine. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean you can't still put in the work that needs to be done. Right. Because while you may never understand life through a Black lens, what you can do is just as a normal functioning human being is acknowledge when there is injustice. Right. Regardless. Yeah. So to the white friends that I do have that actually do put in the work, I am appreciative. Same. Because I do have some. And it's just unfortunate that it's not more like them. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I do have our dance trio. What do you call it?
The ultimate dance trio.
Dance trio. Yeah. Okay, and so I have two, but I'm like,
why are you playing?
Well, in this moment, I'm going to choose between. Okay. I'm choosing one. Here we go. We got it. So, okay. If you could pick 3 musical artists to dance backup for, who would you pick?
Oh, okay.
Go on tour, do all the concerts, all the shows.
Okay, now does it have to be someone who usually has backup dancers?
No, it does not. It can be. Okay. You could be the very first or the only one. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think the first would be Asian Kung Fu generation because I love them, love their music, and it would be the perfect excuse for me to just be living in Japan. They be going on tours and I'll go.
Yeah.
But I'll also do that tour around Japan and be happy with myself.
Right.
I would enjoy that immensely. Let's see. This is harder than it should be. This is what I be doing to people all the time. Dang, no, I'm sorry, my bad. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna save that one for last because it's petty. It's petty. I would say, oh, this is hard. I went, man, anybody from any Motown folks, any of them. I know that's not really me picking one, but I don't care. Any of them, all of them, because I love my city.
Yes.
Detroit.
Yes.
And raised.
Yes.
And how could I pass up the opportunity to perform with anyone that was a part of that legacy? Like, how could I?
Yeah.
So all of them, all of Motown, all of them. And my last one is Taylor Swift. Because I'm like, I can outdance her. Right. I would be back, outshining like a mug.
People like, yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah. Be like, move. We need this.
Yes. I'm like, move, sis.
Yes.
Out living life just to be petty and childish will be my whole reason.
Yes.
Petty and to get paid to be petty and childish. Well, she would probably kick me off the tour.
Right. She's like, listen.
But then I would play the race card. No, I wouldn't. Let me not be raggedy. But no, I real talk would just to be childish. Yeah. Now, if I'm not being childish, I would say, good lead-in, Childish Gambino, because I love Donald Glover. I don't understand. Yeah. I love that guy. I just don't understand why it's a thing. It's a thing. As problematic as so many of his songs really are. Like, I'd be listening like, ooh, I don't think I should sing that part.
Right.
That's a problem. But just his wordplay, I really, really genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
And so if I wasn't being petty and childish with Taylor Swift, then I would be outliving my best life dancing back up for Childish Gambino. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I like those choices. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
I feel so proud of myself for actually answering one. I was like, I just be co-signing other people's answers. I'm like, I don't think I've ever had to really sit and process one of these things. I mean, this is what I be doing to people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to change, but it's fun. All right, yay. Thank you for yet another great episode.
Yes.
And again, as everyone knows, this is my regular co-host, Mr. Darryl Pilate, because he's just my regular co-host. We're out here now. He's just on the show.
Yes.
Like we're here. Hey, and thank you all for joining us yet again here at Dance Talk Realness. Be sure to follow us across all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you know what I never be saying? Apple Podcasts, because I be forgetting about it. But we on there too. Look us up. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have any questions for me or any of the past guests, please be sure to drop them and I will make sure to cover them in a later episode. Looking forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.